Yeah. Okay,
Alright,
let me know
guys.
whenever you're officially starting, so I'll shut up.
Alright, I'm starting. Okay, so well, this color, I'm gonna use, I cannot see with that color. It's just basically the same as my cutting mat. I could not distinguish it. Okay, so starting with 10-inch squares, we're gonna do eight at a time. I'm gonna go ahead and mark using I'm gonna use a mechanical pencil. You can use a friction pen, I use that. Or you can use water soluble, or you can a water soluble marker, or you can use the folding method where you just fold everything in half. I don't know where my friction pen. Oh, here it is. So you can do the same thing where you're just folding with your iron and then it creates the lines with creases like that. You can use a harrow. Harrow? Harrow? Harrow.
Hera.
Harrow. You can use a harrow. Oh my God, harrow marker. Like this. And essentially you're just going to make lines. But I'm gonna use a pen. Well, let me just iron this real quick. I either need to use a pen or this needs to be ironed. If you guys were here for the flying geese, I feel like it's very similar. Essentially, I know the same. Okay, so I got my center line here. For the sake of this, I am going to use a marker so you guys can see everything. Okay, so we're going to do a line vertical in the center. Of course, this one is out of ink. Go in here. Mechanical pencil. So 5 inches is halfway. You can also fold in half, just find the center, but this is easy. It's not just 10 inches divided by 2. So do it here. It has been a long time since I have done 8 at a time. Oh, this is where it's going to get me. Bigger roller. And I'm also going to mark the diagonals as well. Now, I know not everyone marks every single line. This is how I do it. And if you're new to it, definitely suggest marking. Okay, so now I got this set up here. A little star shape going, and then I'm going to layer on top of my other square. And this is such a large piece that I am going to pin a few spots just to make sure things are not moving. And my cutting was not the best either, so it's okay. I'm going to pin, I'm gonna sew the vertical. Oh, sorry. We don't sew the vertical. I'm gonna sew, never mind. Just gonna pin a few times here in all the corners, because the corners when I feel like things shift the most, to be honest. Just gonna pin in each corner. And remove them as I go. Yeah, so you're not going to be sewing on this horizontal and this vertical. So technically you don't need to mark this. You can just figure that out later. I like to mark it, but you can also do that later. So definitely at least do the verticals. Okay, and now I'm just going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides of these. So I'm going to do that. And I feel like it's going to be too hard for me to show you guys. So we can just chat while I'm sewing, because it's more sewing than like a normal tutorial. I guess it's only like 4 lines, but it might take me.
I opted to sew, I don't know if, or not draw. I drew like the lines to sew on. Like I think you
Mhm.
suggested
Oh,
this,
yes.
Olivia, for your flying geese.
Mm-hmm.
I lined up like the ruler so that the 1/4 inch was at the corners, and then I did those. And I found that's been working really nice for me. But that's
Yeah.
just another.
So which way? You said
So I've
It's
been,
so she
Oh,
yeah, the lines of where you're gonna sew on.
and
oh
then
yes,
so that it's just been working. You made that suggestion with the flying geese, and it just
Mhm.
I
yes,
was like, I liked it for the flying geese, so I just kept doing it. But and then when I cut it, I just can line up those 4, and then
yeah,
yeah, I just use my ruler and line it up so I don't draw. So I'm drawing 4 lines still, but different 4 lines. Anyways, that's
yeah. I think in one of my patterns, I suggest doing that for sure.
partially because I
It's
can't find my 1/4 inch foot. So
yeah,
I'm like, where is it?
yeah,
Anyways, but that's
and
I love
like
it.
also it's just much neater. Like I find that even though I've marked these, like I don't know, maybe my sewing's just like wonky, but I feel like when I go to the next spot where I'm trimming in the middle, some sides are way shorter than the other sides, and it ends up being fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah, the
it's
longer
not
the
a bad
seams
idea.
are, I feel like the more wiggly it can get because you have
Yeah,
like your piece is hanging over your table almost. Um, and then I feel like it helps with beginners a lot because it's really hard
yeah,
to understand what your relationship is with your sewing machine and if it's trustworthy, but you know for sure sewing on the line is going to get you exact results. So,
yeah,
yeah, I feel like that's always helpful.
yeah. I mean, if you guys like want to see me do that, I can do that. But she kind of posted or showed her the block there. Okay, let me get going on this. I hope you guys can't hear my sewing machine, but if you can, just let me know and I can mute it. I don't want it to be
If it's
super loud.
going right now, then no, we cannot.
I have not. Well, I did like so. Going now. Can you hear it?
No.
No.
Oh wow, these AirPods. Wow, impressive. Or maybe it's Zoom. I don't know which one.
I feel like Zoom's background noise suppression is top tier.
Yeah, because when I FaceTime when I'm sewing, my friends could definitely hear it.
If you guys would like to
Yeah.
hear a funny story, I told Taylor that my boyfriend plays Magic the Gathering, but I just refer to it as Magic. And she thought that meant he did magic tricks. So that was a really fun realization of watching her face change between magician and plays a card game.
I wasn't judging, okay?
Yeah, well, I want to know what the face was when you said he does magic.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they make stores for that.
Well, I was trying to not judge. I mean, I'm like, okay.
You did your
Well, you're
best.
telling
It's
me how
okay.
he goes to stores for magic. What else? Why would I not think that he's a magician?
Yeah,
I don't
thought
think this
that
is
was
my
really
fault.
funny.
That just means that you're not a total nerd like some of us. Because my
Yeah,
immediate
I
thought
guess
is, of course, like,
Magic.
Never heard of this at all. Did not think
but
this was.
I
had
also
no
play
idea.
D&D every week, so.
Yeah. I didn't realize until yesterday that the same people that made Magic made D&D. I didn't know that they were the same like creatives. I guess it
That
makes
makes
sense. They're in
sense.
the same realm, like of nerdiness.
I was joking that I was gonna hire him to do a magic trip for this Zoom call tonight. Okay, last one.
Okay, well, you don't have to get all the way up there.
Okay. Yay. Guess I could use darker thread, but it wasn't gonna refire my machine. So here she is. She's beautiful. Okay, and now we're gonna cut this. So it doesn't really matter what order. There's a way I prefer, but I forget. I feel like I prefer to cut on the horizontal first. We're just gonna do that. You're just gonna cut on every line that you have drawn on. If you have a little spinny cutting knife, you can use that. I'm just gonna move my big old head might come in the way here. I can like lift up carefully without disrupting, and I can do the whole thing without. Ta-da!
Alright.
Another pattern says open your seams when you press, but there's gonna be like a little crosshair here that you can just pull open, easy. But also, I think it's fine to press it towards the darker fabric.
Yeah, I think
So-
that part will eventually get trimmed off if you do press to the side. Maybe if you press open too. I'm having a hard time remembering the way the seams look, but the little
Yeah.
tips should be cut off anyways whenever you. Yeah.
Yeah, it just might be annoying, like if it won't pull open, then pressing open.
Mhm.
It's just like an extra step with pressing open, but your finger should just push right through it, so not a big deal. Okay, I'll get to trimming now.
By the way, Julie, the guest designer for Running Stitch Quilts, she shared a reel showing how she trims 2 half square triangles at a time. So if you would like
Oh.
to
So
check
just
that
watch
out.
that instead of me right now.
Well, I mean, most people trim one at a time. And I think if you're using the block lock rulers, you can only trim one at a time because it has to seat
Mhm.
into the seam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an option.
Okay, what do we trim to? 4.5?
4.5.
So I'm just gonna I'm not even in frame. Okay, I'm just gonna line up my 45 along with the seam, and I pretty much have this memorized, but you can put a piece of tape here, and you just want to make sure that it extends past the 4.5-inch mark on both sides, and then you can trim off, but you want to make sure this 45-degree line runs throughout the whole seam. That I'm gonna flip it over, line that 45 up again, the 4.5. Now you should line it up perfectly along the 4.5-inch line and do the remaining side. Tuck those fingers in too.
Yeah, we don't need any lost
I think,
phalanges.
yeah.
Is that the word?
Forget if it was flying geese or half square triangle, but one of those two I cut my fingertip off. Any questions? It's pretty straightforward. Besides
Do you
the
prefer pressing to the side?
No. I'm definitely team press open until I'm to the point where I'm sewing long seams together. So
Hmm.
I will press everything open because I really like flat blocks. I like when everything lays super nicely. I don't like bulky seams. I feel like when I press to the side, I like feel like I have to repress a lot for some reason. I don't know. And then when I'm doing really long seams, like the finishing seams, like I will press to the side most of the time. Depends on the block, really. I mean the quilt pattern. Jeez.
Oh my gosh. Someone said that they cut their fingertip off into the nail last week.
That's what I did.
Gosh.
I'm sorry. Did you find the nail? Because did you find the fingertip? Because once I finally got the courage to go back to cutting, I went to my cutting mat and I found my fingertip with the nail still attached.
Yeah, I found it and the nail is still attached, but I managed
Yeah.
to just put pressure on it and finish cutting what I was doing and then
Oh my
screen-
God.
Yeah, and I didn't get blood on my fabric either.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
such a big baby about it. And mine was like a 16th of an inch. Maybe an eighth of an inch. Yeah.
Man. I don't think I've ever,
fine.
knock on wood, cut
Yeah, really.
any part of my fingers off. I mean, I've definitely like if the blade is open and I bump it with my knuckle or something and it's like a fresh blade, then yeah, I'll get like a little.
I did that the other day. Like 2 weeks ago. My blade was like this. It was closed and I went to put it away and I like went like that and it sliced like right in the center here.
It's like the worst place to get a paper cut too,
No, I know. It
right in the middle.
again, I was such a big baby. I put like a band-aid on it for like days. Even though like it wasn't that bad at all. Just putting pressure on helped.
For pressing tips, I would say if you're pressing to the side, even though the pattern says press open, if you choose to press to the side, be careful with like the motion of pressing over to the side because that can sometimes warp that diagonal and it's no longer a straight line. So finger pressing first always helps, like very gently, just to go
Do
ahead
you
and
guys
get the
want to
fabric
watch me
like
press?
in the motion. Sure.
All right, I have to put like a quilt on or something because last time it warped my cutting mat.
Do you
Figure
have
out-
a wool cutting mat?
Yeah, when like it went through that.
Or sorry, a wool pressing mat.
Yeah. But the heat.
I used to keep a layer of batting underneath mine if I had it like off to the side. Like if I was trying to sew and press in the same area, I'd have like a little batting scrap underneath mine to help with the heat,
Yeah, that's what I'm
which
gonna
doesn't really do much. It just adds another layer before it gets to my tabletop.
do. Be weird because it's kind of squishy, but all right. I'll show you pressing open. I mean, I like to hold one side down with my iron while my other finger kind of like finger presses it open a little bit so that I can kind of guide like this. I hold it there. And then once it's flat, I flip it over, hold it on the other side. Use a tailor's clapper if you want, or flatter spray. That's how I press it open. I don't know if there's different methods, to be honest.
I'm sure there's like
Like-
you can use the seam rolly thing. I don't know the official
Oh
name.
yeah,
Petition to call it seam
I
rolly
don't have
thing.
one of those.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of like a more firm finger press almost.
Yeah, So like I will finger press a little bit. Well, really I finger press for two reasons. One, because it's good. Two, because you need the iron needs it to be open to like get in. So just hold it in. Finger press as you go. I feel like once you figure out, like, it becomes more second nature to you to opening your seams like that. You're gonna like pressing open better. Don't want to speak on everyone, but I do feel like it just takes some getting the hang of and then better. And then when I press to the side, I do the same thing. Press like that. And I'm not really pressing, I am kind of ironing here, but so I kind of obsess about the seams being like all the way open. So I'm like, sometimes I feel like you do have to like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah, you're supposed to be
Don't do
setting
that,
it
but
down, not moving.
I know, but then I'm like, I can see it and it's not fully open and it bothers me. So plus I am gonna be trimming these, so it's weird. But you don't need to do the whole other side. So you don't need to, it's like a one side thing. You don't need to go from this way and press. You just go like this.
Very gently.
Very gently. Or not so gently, it's fine.
One of the cons of pressing open is, which I have not
Allegedly.
experienced it, but people say that pressing open can lead to not as strong seams because it's basically, if it's pulled apart enough, then you can see the hole straight through the piecing into the batting. And then of course, if it's pressed to the side, you have that like extra protection layer of the seam being pressed to the side. To me, I sew with like such a short seam allowance, or not seam allowance, stitch length, that I kind of reinforce my stitches by just having a shorter stitch length. So
yeah,
You think
that's
about
what I do.
how you quilt it? Like you
Yeah.
might want, if you're stitching in the ditch or something like that, an open seam would be worse than.
Yeah,
that too.
I would
Yes.
definitely say that.
Whereas if
it
you're
would be
stitching
worse.
like on either side or something, you know, like away, like offset
Well,
and
yeah.
open.
Yeah. I would say it would be worse and better at the same time because you would just be reinforcing it and it would be easier to stitch in the ditch. Like
Right.
if you stitch in the ditch
Really good ditch.
with open seams, it's frustrating. I haven't
Yeah.
stitched in the ditch in a while. And if
Yeah.
people don't know what stitch in the ditch is, it's essentially when you're quilting to follow your seam allowance. So if I were to, hold on, let me move my line. If I were to quilt this, pretend it's not already quilted. Stitching the dish would be me quilting like along the seams like this. Oh,
Yeah, because the seam will often hide in there, like it almost becomes
Yeah.
invisible because it like hides in the fold basically. But
yeah, it can either hide or it can accentuate the
Right.
quilt pattern.
depending on what you want
So
or what you don't want, depending on how it goes for you.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
in
honestly, like
those background pieces, you kind of want them to blend together. So all the pieces that are in your quilt example, white or whitish, you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to accentuate the fact that they're different pieces. But in a like patchwork, like 9-patch quilt, all of them should
Yeah.
theoretically be different colors, so it doesn't matter.
I'm trying to think if I have a stick to the ditch on hand.
It used to be something, but yeah, I usually now offset stitch.
Thank
Like
you.
I'll stitch
Yeah.
an inch away. Like
Yeah, that's
my
what I
most
do because it's
common.
less noticeable. Like if you're trying to stitch
Yeah,
in the
and
ditch and then sometimes you mess up, then
you see the wave.
yeah. Oh
Okay.
no, that one's not.
It's certainly a domestic machine sort of thing, but yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have a custom quilter, long arm quilter.
My
All right,
are we
my local quilt shop is has a long arm that you can rent, and they're doing like a class so you can take it and then rent it. And I'm like, this is like, so exciting, but also I think it's going to be a can of worms that we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that.
Either very
and then-
exciting or I'm going to be like, nope, not for me.
Well, I did that and I took the class and it was great. And then I didn't go for another like year or so, so I forgot everything. And then the same thing happened. I was like, it's so much to learn that if you're not doing it consistently, like you just go and immediately forget because it's like learning a whole new machine.
That's a good point. I should like have a quilt ready to go
Yes.
so that I can do it right after. Well, maybe this quilt. When is the class? Sometime end of March. There you go. More motivation.
I'm just so zoomed in.
Yeah, the idea that you don't already have just a box of quilt tops ready to go for anything and you have to finish
Jealous.
something couldn't be me.
When I was like that for the first 2 years or so.
You're right.
that
I
was
do have
quilting.
some quilt tops. Good point. I have like an ancient quilt top from when I was like a teenager. I should find that.
Oh, you should get that. That's what you should.
I have
practice
like
on.
probably 10
Yeah,
in
I
a
have so
drawer.
many.
I have a lot, and they all have backings that are pieced and ready to go. And like, I don't know why. I'm just.
Yeah, no, I have
Oh.
like a large moving box full.
Update,
Wow.
guys, if you guys were looking for the Aria release that was supposed to come out tomorrow, the Aria and Cadence. This is it. Can't really see it. Release is now Monday. So just FYI.
Pushing it a couple days.
Pushing in a couple days. I thought having a release on a national economic blackout was not in the best
That's the best decision.
decision. Yes, the best decision. So yes,
But
pushing
that
it off a
also
couple
means
days.
full week of discount.
Yes. So well, you guys already get 20% off, so it's
Well, yeah.
um,
Full week of discount for everyone else.
yeah. For everyone else. I'm gonna stop the recording. Are we all good? Does anyone have any more questions about 8 at a time?
Nope, looks good.